Hello everyone, welcome to week 2. I wanted to update you on some things within the course, give you some tips, and talk a little bit about this week. So updates. The formative assessments are now going to be in the APIS classroom. I've had a terrible time with Wiley myself. I know many of you have been having a hard time with their stuff. I can't really help you when you run into problems on Wiley. I can help you a lot more if you have issues within the APIS classroom. So, you can now find each chapter's formative assessment in tests and quizzes every week. So this week you'll see the Chapter 3 formative assessment in tests and quizzes accessed on the left-hand side of the classroom. So click on that, look for it there. Some of the questions that are in the formative assessments here in the classroom are actually going to be on the exam, so I recommend writing them down. And you have an unlimited number of attempts to answer them. They will be worth the actual points scored. So, keep answering until you get them all right so you can maximize the points. And write down the questions and the answers so that you have them on hand when it comes time to take the test. Wiley Plus can still be used as a study tool, but for reliability, I just want this stuff back in the classroom. It's too crazy dealing with Wiley. The exams will also be in the classroom, so taking the formative assessments in the classroom will be a good, give you a good idea of how the tests are going to run. So now that we've got the updates out of the way, let's move on to tips. Courses like biology have higher failure rates than most college classes. This is, a nationwide issue, and the problem is that, first of all, students struggle to understand the material. Biology is kind of like learning a foreign language, and you're also learning concepts on top of it, and that makes it harder to understand stuff. In addition to that, students are often unprepared for exams, and they do not know how to study. So, if you think about your average college student, whether they're, younger or, returning to college, they may not ever have had to study. They may not have had to study for a long time. They may not have had high school courses that were rigorous that required them to study. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about is study tips. The main thing is that, they've done a bunch of research on what makes you successful studying for exams. Things like mnemonics, highlighting, rereading, none of that helps. And you're just wasting your time when you do it. So the main thing that you need to do is quiz yourself over and over again. They've found that self-testing is the single most effective way to study for exams. So how can you self-test? Well, this would be what my study schedule would look like for a week if I was taking this course. On Monday, the first thing you want to do is go through and create flashcards of all the bold words in the textbook. This is your vocabulary. This is what makes it easier to understand the concepts. And do not read the chapter text yet, because it's just going to be confusing. You're having to learn vocabulary on top of concepts. The first thing you need to do is kind of memorize the vocabulary. So you're writing down the vocabulary and all the bold words. Then you have to go through and, start working on the flashcards. Can you answer, what the vocabulary word is? If you got it correct, you flip over the flashcard. That's the old-fashioned way. I like paper. But you can create flashcards on the computer. You can use programs like Study Blue, and they'll be imported to your phone. So if you're out and about, you have to take your kid to the dentist, or you're at work and you have an extra 5 minutes, you can pull out your phone and you have the flashcards right there. On Tuesday, you would go through those flashcards, and you would, go through some of the study questions on Wiley in the concept checked area, in the study area. Don't go through the Orion stuff yet. You also need to copy down the graphics and practice labeling them. Graphics are really important. You'll notice there's a ton of them in the book. So, if it's labeling the components of the cell or understanding a chemical structure of some of the things that we're doing this week, you need to be able to label those things and copy them. You're not going to get graded on your artwork here. It's the idea that you know what all these things are, and you can do it without, having to look at the book. On Wednesday, you start working through those flashcards, work through the graphics again, and then try and use Orion on Wiley. At this point, you should read the chapter text. When you're going through the Wiley study questions, you're reading the chapter text as well. So you've started to read the chapter text, and hopefully some of this vocabulary and these graphics are sinking in and they're helping you to comprehend this stuff. Thursday is when you want to start taking the first formative assessment. So you're going to take it. You're probably not going to score super well on it. It's the first time you're taking it, but you get an unlimited number of tries. But take it seriously. Try and take it without using your book or using your notes, or just have maybe one sheet of notes, and see how you do. See which areas you answer correctly or incorrectly, and then separate those out so that you know what you need to focus on. If you're answering incorrectly on certain concepts, you need to spend more time on them. For Friday, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to work through all that stuff again, and you're going to focus more on those missed questions. And finally, if by Friday you're not getting something, you keep missing it, you just don't get it, send me a message. By this point, you should have a good grasp on the vocabulary. You should have a good visual grasp on any graphics and things like that. You should have read the text, and if you're still not getting something, you should have watched, some of the videos on YouTube and all the other study tools that are given as part of the book in class. If you're not getting it, send me a message. I can hopefully point you to another resource or help talk you through it. Saturday, you should self-test again. You want to answer those formative assessment questions. You should be scoring better by this time. If this is an exam week, this should be your last day of testing. You need to kind of let your brain rest. You do not want to cram for the exam. As you notice, the study schedule has you studying every single day, and that's because the other thing they found with for effective study is that you need to spread out your studying over the week, and that people who cram for exams tend to do worse. So, whatever you do, don't cram for the exam. You should be spreading out your studying every single day. Just spend 15-20 minutes studying for this class. Finally, on Sunday, you'll either take the exam, or if it's not an exam week, which most weeks are not exam weeks, you'll go through the study materials again. And this is when you can really nail down the final formative assessment questions, maximize those points, go through the Orion questions, and prepare for the next week. So keep those study tips in mind. Try and follow that study schedule. Everyone has their own schedules. Life is crazy, but 15-20 minutes a day, spreading out your studying like that is really going to help a lot. This week we have our first lab due. Like I've said before, if you do not have your kit, that's okay. Just send me a message on Sunday if you don't have it done, and we'll work something else out. This week we start our first forum discussion. I think they're a lot of fun. I've had a lot of positive feedback from students who took the course already. They really enjoyed the forums. Make sure you read through the grading rubric so you know what the expectations are for participation. And when you're ready to get started, read all the Week 2 lessons.